Good evening, fellow YouTubers. This is the Stick Figure Picker here, and I am back with my weekly sales update video. Sales were pretty darn slow for me this past week. I haven't moved a lot of merchandise. I didn't get to do a lot of listing this week. My schedule was pretty hectic. I had a coworker whose family member passed away, so I covered a few shifts for them, so I didn't have very much time to list. Did a few closing shifts, which are typically not my favorite, especially during the summer. So eBay sales were pretty slow. Again, I'm not sourcing as much, especially with my Austin trip coming up. So I had to limit what I was buying and spending just to make sure that I have enough for this trip to make sure I can thrift and, do whatever I need to do down there when I go there. So let's get to it. I'm going to start off with eBay because I had very few sales on eBay. Alright, the very first thing that sold is this vintage 1962 Midge Barbie doll body. Again, this was one of my older purchases, and I've already made my money back with what I've spent on this whole lot. We spent $9 on a really cool Marks train and a bunch of the old dolls. So only sold for $5, and it was able to go first class because it was light enough to fit in one of the boxes, and it weighed less than 16 ounces. So again, one of my older purchases. I'm glad it's finally leaving and I don't have to see it again and I can just move on. Alrighty, next item to sell is this Clint Eastwood The Man with No Name Trilogy Blu-ray pack. Bought this at my Goodwill for $4.49. I accepted a best offer of $18 for this, and the buyer paid shipping, of course, and it's going first class. Brand new and sealed, which was awesome, and I knew that was probably going to be worth something because it's a trilogy pack. Usually packs of 3, especially if they're classic films, will do very, very well. Alright, next item. Again, this was something I bought probably 2 years ago and just finally got around to listing it. It's this really, really cool, I would probably date it to the 1950s because during the war, tin toys were probably not produced as much because metal was being used for the war effort. So I date this to about the 1950s. It is a red United States Air Force fighter plane tin toy. Extremely cool graphics. I was going to keep this for myself, but then I said to myself, you know what, I don't have the room for it. And, it's not anything in particular that I would probably want to display anyway. I picked this up for $5, and what was really, really cool about it is the fact that the original rubber missiles were with it. And one of them did break while I was taking pictures of it, so I had to super glue it back together. But I mentioned that in the description when I listed it that it did have to be re-glued, so, and I'm sure this person's going to be happy with it. I did take a best offer of $18 for this, and that's pretty great considering I only paid $5. That's a $13 profit, and it was light enough to go first class, which is awesome. Again, slow sales on eBay, not a lot of stuff moving, and I've been getting stuff listed. I'm glad that the end of the month is coming because that means I can go back and I won't have insertion fees like I have been, 30 cents a listing, when you spend a certain amount, or when you use up the certain amount that eBay gives you to list. Now we're going to move into Amazon sales, and again, Amazon was pretty slow for me too. Alright, very first game, again, was one of those 80 cents games that I picked up at one of my charity thrift stores. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2, again, 80 cents, and I sold it for $54.99, which is, I'm telling you, I'm probably quintupling my money considering I spent 80 cents a piece on those games. And I've already sold a bunch of them, which is awesome. Alright, next game is another one of those 80-cent games. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance for the... Oh, no, I'm sorry. This came from the Goodwill. My apologies. And my Goodwill upped their prices on video games to $2.99, so I'm paying $2.69 a video game now. And this one sold for $54.99 as well. I only buy games if they are in pretty close to clean or new condition. If they're not, I don't even bother with them because I know I'm going to have to list them as used. If I can list them as new or used like new, I will definitely pick them up. So this was another good buy on my part. Another game that came from the Goodwill is the Finding Nemo GameCube game. Disc was kind of scratched up, but it wasn't too bad. I did manage to get $32.99, and I paid $2.69 for it. That's a pretty good profit, and the fees were not horrible with these games at all, which is really, really great. Last game to sell is the Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for the Xbox 360. I think that also came from the Goodwill, and I paid $2.69, and it has sold for $27.99. So that is my quick little sales report for you. I'm sorry if it wasn't a lot. Sales were just pretty slow, again, with my extra shifts that I picked up and just being busy. And, you know, I mean, like Jameson Phillippe says, don't make excuses, but, I mean, you know, I gotta have a little bit more money coming in, especially if I'm not making as much money as I should be with my online sales. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Follow me on Periscope under the stick figure picker. Just look for the same picture on Periscope as you see as my YouTube icon. Head on over to Facebook. We can be friends on Facebook. Also, check us out under International League of Thrifters and Thrifty World. We will be posting items that we find at thrift stores and just great sales that we tend to have into those Facebook groups if you're into that kind of thing. The links are in the description box below if you are interested. Thank you all for watching.